Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Good Ship English for You. I'm Captain Pat.
And I'm First Mate Mike.
Sure, why not?
Petty officer. No, I can't be a petty officer. I'm a pirate. I'm not in the Navy.
That's right.
We're talking about pirates, of course. Those swashbucklers of the high seas, men of daring and doing and stealing and looting and all sorts of great stories, but real history. These were real people. So we're not talking about Pirates of the Caribbean and Johnny Depp. We're talking about real pirates who did real things and really did get their heads cut off occasionally.
Yes, we mentioned the story of the most famous of them all yesterday, Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard. Now, while we don't know much about his early years, he was English, he was a sailor, he probably fought in wars, we know that later he became a pirate and worked with other pirates in that part of the world at that time and became the commander of a powerful fleet.
A very powerful fleet. So powerful, it actually didn't just attack other ships, it attacked a town in what is now America, I think South Carolina. They attacked the town of Charlestown. They basically stood outside like a bunch of bullies or kept their ships in the water outside Charlestown, and anyone who wanted to pass had to pay the pirates lots of money. Now, of course, this wasn't such a popular thing for him to do, and eventually the English government discovered what he was doing or heard about what he was doing, and they sent some soldiers out to attack Blackbeard and to capture him and his pirate crew.
Yeah, capturing in the end wasn't possible. Blackbeard did fight, so he was shot. He was stabbed. He had his head cut off in a very violent final battle. According to one legend, his ghost now goes around looking for it. So Blackbeard is an interesting story, but what makes his story interesting is not just him, but how it was possible for him to become the pirate he became.
That's a good point. There weren't that many pirates, and they weren't really scaring people for that long in history, but we're still talking about them today. So how did all that happen?
Let's read through today's article and learn more about the golden age of piracy.
Reading.
Blackbeard and the Golden Age of Piracy. Blackbeard wasn't the only pirate to plunder the Americas in those days. Other famous captains included Henry Every, Bartholomew Roberts, and Calico Jack. So many famous pirates operated between the 1650s and 1730s that this period is called the Golden Age of Piracy. But what led to this situation? At that time, Europeans were building colonies in the Americas. Spain, Britain, France, and the Dutch Republic fought for the riches of the New World. These countries had independent ships attack the ships of enemy countries. In this way, European governments created a force of legal pirates called privateers. However, during brief periods of peace, these privateers had nothing to do. Most had no skills other than sailing and fighting. Some became pirates as it was their only way to make a living. Others enjoyed attacking rich merchants. Pirate captains had to please their men, so pirates got more freedom and bigger rewards than ordinary sailors. It's no wonder many preferred a pirate's life, even though they often shared the same bloody fate as Blackbeard.
All right, so let's have a look at some of these other pirates, but we'll begin with the pirate that we learned about yesterday, Blackbeard. It says Blackbeard wasn't the only pirate to plunder the Americas in those days. Might be the only pirate you might have heard of, but certainly there were several others in different parts of the Americas at different times, but they were all out there plundering ships and stealing their gold. What is to plunder? Well, basically it's to steal things, especially lots of things at the same time, especially if it happens by a big group of people. So we're kind of thinking about what would happen after an army attacks a town, they win the battle, they defeat the enemy, and then the soldiers kind of go wild for a little while, breaking into houses, stealing things, breaking things, doing whatever they want because they're the winners, they control, and if you argue with them, you'll get stabbed or something bad, and they're going to take whatever you have. They're there for plunder. We could use it as a noun to talk about the things that they steal, sacks of plunder over their shoulders, or getting that stuff, stealing that stuff. We use the verb form to plunder. They are plundering, and they're taking their plunder back to their pirate ship.
Yep, and there were many people doing that in those days. We see other famous captains, included Henry Avery, Bartholomew Roberts, and Calico Jack. Now, we don't go into these in the article. We'll give you a few facts here. Henry Avery was a successful pirate, never caught, never arrested, and robbed a fleet of treasure ships in the most successful act of piracy ever.
Wow.
So yeah, he was pretty good at his job.
He absolutely was. And then, of course, there's Bartholomew Roberts, or Black Bart Roberts. He's the most successful pirate of those days in terms of how many ships he captured. So maybe the ships that he captured weren't full of gold, but boy, he captured a lot of these ships, over 400 ships plundered, or they pull over the ships, make them stop. Maybe there's a little fight, but he steals stuff 400 times. That's quite impressive.
Yes. Now, one pirate who was not quite so successful was Calico Jack Rackham. However, his story lives on today, and he is quite famous because he had two famous women pirates on his ship, Anne Bonny and Mary Read. So somebody with women pirates back in those days was certainly going to be told stories about, which is why we remember him today. And that's just three names. To be honest, there were plenty more. The article says so many famous pirates operated between the 1650s and 1730s that this period is called the Golden Age of Piracy.
Wow, so this was kind of the height of their powers. There were pirates before and after. There are still actually pirates today in some parts of the world, but it's not like it was back then. There aren't as many, they aren't as successful, and they certainly aren't as cool. But anyways, what led? The next sentence is actually a question, but what led to this situation? If 1650 to 1730 was the golden age of piracy, it didn't just suddenly happen. Something must have happened in history and in the world at that time to lead to all of these pirates being such a big problem at that time. When we use this phrasal verb lead to, we're basically saying why something happened. What caused something happen? What were the different things going on, the different situations that were going on to lead to, or to cause, or to result in something happening?
And we want to know what led to this situation. A situation is a certain set of circumstances. This is happening, this is happening, this is happening. The situation is the way things are right now, and we want to know how it happened. So what facts gave rise to what is going on at the moment, this situation? For example, we might ask someone, you lost your wallet, your cell phone, your house keys, and your shoes? How did you get into this situation? Or how did all of this happen to you to lead you into this place you're in now without all of these things? So, how did we get to the golden age of piracy?
Yeah, what was going on at that time? Well, we find out in the next sentence, which says, at that time, or then, from around the middle of the 1600s, at that time, Europeans were building colonies in the Americas. Yeah, if you think back to your history, right? Columbus went over to the Americas in 1492, so this is about 150 years later, and all of these European countries, Portugal, Spain, France, England, to be precise, and probably the Dutch,
Yep.
probably the Netherlands too. They were all creating colonies in what is now the Americas, Canada, America, the Caribbean, and down into South America. What is a colony? Well, this is a noun, and it's basically a small settlement that a country or a people or a government set up in a far away land. Okay, Hong Kong was a colony. It first started as a colony, or became important as a British colony, as did Singapore. The Spanish and the Dutch, of course, had colonies here in Taiwan. So they might send some fishermen, some farmers, a couple of soldiers. This is kind of wild country that no one really is in control of, and they send their folks off there to build a little town or some farms or something and kind of say, this is our land. Some of the colonies, they survived. Some of them were wiped out or abandoned or whatever. But back in the old days, when the world was much more open than it is now, these countries would put people in another part of the world, and those people would make a colony. For example, the first Spanish colony in Taiwan was built near Geelong.
Yeah, that is right. And Spain were one of these countries building in the Americas. And they weren't always friends about it. It was a bit competitive. We see Spain, Britain, France, and the Dutch Republic fought for the riches of the New World. Of course, they discovered gold, silver, lots of precious things, and they wanted to take them back and make their own countries rich, so they were fighting to see who got what. Now, one country involved was the Dutch Republic. This country is now known as the Netherlands, sometimes as Holland, but it's basically what it was at that period of their history. They were a republic, which meant they had no king, but a ruling government, kind of like most countries are now.
Right, okay. So what did these countries do? Well, these countries had independent ships attack the ships of enemy countries. Yeah, so basically a lot of them didn't have a navy, like a big fighting force of ships, so they would basically hire private ships to go off and fight for the country. These independent ships attack the ships of enemy countries, and of course, if you were the captain of a ship and you attacked the other country's ship, you could keep whatever you would steal. You could keep your plunder.
Now, in that last sentence, we used a causative verb. And a causative verb shows that one person or thing has caused a second person or thing to do a particular action, often for them. Causative verbs include get, have, make, and let. Now, the final one, let, shows that it's giving permission for something rather than forcing or paying someone to do that thing. When you use a causative verb, the verb that follows is always in its base form. It's not a past tense, it's not an ing present tense. You would get someone to do something, not get someone to doing. So get is a causative verb. You ask or pay somebody to do it. The father got his son to wash his car. With get, you must use the preposition to as well. You get someone to do. Have is the same as get, it's just a bit more formal and it doesn't have a preposition. So you could say, I had my lawyer look at the papers. Now the word make means that force or some other kind of power is being used to give the other person no choice. There's no preposition with make. Example, the teacher made the student stay behind after school. And as we said, let indicates permission. It's also not used with a preposition, so we say, Mom, let me go to the party. Here's one final example using have, like in the article. The president had a famous artist paint a picture of her. So yeah, these various European kingdoms, they didn't have enough ships of their own to fight everywhere and go everywhere, so we'll just pay some people to do our dirty work.
That's right, buying soldiers, basically. And in this way, European governments created a force of legal pirates called privateers. So basically they did what pirates do, but they were working for one country, so that country wouldn't be chasing them. Of course, all the other countries would be, but as long as you, as a privateer or a private pirate, only attacked boats from other countries, you could go back home and no one would be trying to put you in jail.
They'd have a piece of paper that said, I can attack French ships legally because my country is at war with France. So that was great during wartime when one country was fighting and paying the privateers. But as the article says, however, during brief periods of peace, these privateers had nothing to do. Now, we describe these periods of peace as being brief because at that time countries were always at war, fighting one, then the other, then joining up to fight a third one. So there were only brief periods when nobody was at war, because brief just means short, something that starts and finishes quickly. For example, there was a brief flash of light and then we heard the thunder.
Oh, the brief flash of light must have been the lightning.
Of course.
Before the thunder. Okay. So yeah, so when peace came along, even if it was only for a year or two or a short time, what were the pirates going to do? They couldn't just turn their pirate ships into fishing boats or something like that. And as it says, most of the pirates, had no skills other than sailing and fighting. They couldn't go off and, be farmers or make things out of wood or do what other people might do for a job back then because they didn't know how to do that. They were pirates. That's what they did. All right, let's have a look at this expression, other than. Other than is a phrase that we use basically in the same way we might use except, to kind of show that one thing is not part of the group. One thing will not be okay while all the other things are okay. One thing will not be done while all of the other things will be done. I will have lots of time to get all my homework done except studying for my test. I have to wake up early tomorrow to do that. We would use it in some way like that. I like all kinds of things made from milk except for yogurt. Ugh, I don't really like that yogurt stuff. All right, so we're kind of saying that here's a big group, but there's one thing that is not part of the group, and we use other than or except or apart from to show that this one is different. This one is outside the group.
So yeah, if these guys are told, okay, you can't attack any ships anymore, go and be farmers or fishermen. I don't know how, I don't really want to.
I can't kill people being a farmer.
Yeah, so these various sailors, like Blackbeard, who was probably in this kind of situation, we see that some became pirates as it was their only way to make a living. The phrase make a living means to earn enough money to be able to afford food, clothes, a place to live, the basics, the things you need to live and survive. Obviously, it's great to make more. We often use the phrase make a living just to show what your regular job is. I make a living teaching, writing, and so on.
That's right. And others, well, basically they stayed pirates. They just stopped caring about who they attacked. It says others enjoyed attacking rich merchants. Now these merchants, what is a merchant? It's basically a tradesperson, someone who buys things, sells things. Back then you would bring things from one part of the world to the other and make some money by buying them cheap and selling them at a higher price and that kind of thing. So if you were traveling from the Caribbean to Europe with the gold in your boat or something, you're a gold merchant, the pirates would attack you and steal all your stuff because they're pirates. What do you expect them to do?
Exactly. And many of them kind of figured this was a way they could make a lot of money in a short time. And there was a reason for this. We see in the article, pirate captains had to please their men. So pirates got more freedom and bigger rewards than ordinary sailors. A sailor might just get a small bit of money from the government. Thank you for doing your job. Goodbye. But if you're a pirate, you say, I want this much of every ship. And if you, captain, don't give that to me and my friends, well, you won't be kept in very long. We'll kick you off, we'll leave you on an island, we'll just stab you and push you into the ocean. So the captains had to keep their men happy by making sure they got plenty of rewards. A reward is something you're given for doing well, for winning a competition and so on. So yeah, these pirates made a lot more money and didn't have to work so hard to get it. No, well, wouldn't you want to be a pirate?
Absolutely. And of course, this is back in a time when people had very little freedom. It wasn't easy to go from being a poor person to a rich person. If you were born to a poor family, you would probably die in a poor family. And so being a pirate gave them a lot more freedom and a lot more chance to control their own life. As it says, it's no wonder many preferred a pirate's life, even though they often shared the same bloody fate as Blackbeard. It's that old idea of I'd rather be free for one day than be tied up in chains for my whole life, because at least I know how to be free. At least I get that opportunity to be my own boss. It's no wonder that basically is used to show that something is not surprising. It's not something that's going to make you go, really? I had no idea. No, it's no wonder that. It's clear, it's obvious. Anyone can understand it if you think about it for just a second, because it's no surprise. It's very easy to see.
Yeah, and it's no wonder that people chose the life of a pirate. They preferred being a pirate to just, you know, working for small money as a fisherman, a farmer, something like that. If you prefer something, you like that thing more than another thing. If you have a choice, you go, oh, that one. I like that one better. I prefer it. So we could say, for example, Hawaiian pizza is okay, but I prefer 4-cheese pizza. That's the one I would choose if I have a free choice.
All right, that's your #1 pick.
Yeah, now, however, it did mean that these criminals, these were thieves, robbers, murderers, these were not nice people. So many of them they got killed, they got shot, they got hanged, they met with bloody ends.
That's right. When we say something is bloody, well, of course, it could involve a lot of blood, right? Like if you have a bloody accident in your kitchen, maybe you cut your finger and there's blood everywhere. It might not kill you, but it just involves a lot of blood. But also, we often mean it's very violent. Okay, a bloody movie would be like a horror movie or a war movie or something like that. A lot of people getting hurt and blown up and shot, and violence is going on all over the place. Maybe not blood actually falling out of people, but violence and physical attacks and things like that. For example, the Battle of Gettysburg was the bloodiest battle in the US Civil War. A lot of people died. That's why it was the most people died in that battle than in any other battle.
Yep, and we said these pirates met bloody fates. Fate here is used to basically mean their end, the way their lives end, their futures and how that kind of goes ahead.
Yes.
So we could say, for example, with the police chasing him, the thief jumped off a bridge and no one ever learned his true fate. So his end, what happened at the end of that incident or the end of this story.
Maybe he became a pirate.
Maybe indeed. So that is the end of our article about pirates, but we're not quite finished yet. We're on to our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
All right, so with 2 days of pirates to kind of get your appetite going for other great pirate adventures and stories, let's look at some of those adventures and stories that you might want to check out. So our chat question, and here's the perfect person to ask this question to: do you enjoy movies and stories about pirates?
Yep.
What are some of the ones you know? So this is the interesting part. Take notes, because he probably knows more than most of us would.
The absolute #1 is Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson.
Oh, that's a good old book, and they've made many movie versions.
Right, and he basically introduces ideas like treasure maps, black spots, parrots on shoulders, men with one eye or a wooden leg. This whole pirate thing we like to dress up as Robert Louis Stevenson came up with a lot of those ideas. Peter Pan is another good one because you've got Captain Hook.
That's right.
Great
I would never
character.
think of that as a pirate story.
It kind of is. The Pirates of the Caribbean movies,
Sure.
some of them are pretty fun. Black Sails, the TV show, which is the characters from Treasure Island meeting real historical pirates like Blackbeard, Calico Jack Rackham, and others. It's a combination of real history and fiction. It's a superb TV show. Definitely go and watch Black Sails.
There you go, a very good list to start off with, and you could add a whole bunch more. One of the old movies, Captain Blood. I always like the title of that movie. I don't think I've ever seen it, but what a great pirate title for an old movie if you want to check out something a little bit older. There you go, lots of great pirate movies, stories, books, adventures, video games, all sorts of stuff.
Oh, Monkey Island, that's good fun.
All sorts of stuff you can check out, so there you are. If you like pirates, don't worry, you're going to have a lot of good times coming up.
Yep, talk to you again next time. Until then, set sail and conquer. Goodbye.
Arr.
Blackbeard and the Golden Age of Piracy. Blackbeard wasn't the only pirate to plunder the Americas in those days. Other famous captains included Henry Every, Bartholomew Roberts, and Calico Jack. So many famous pirates operated between the 1650s and 1730s that this period is called the Golden Age of Piracy. But what led to this situation? At that time, Europeans were building colonies in the Americas. Spain, Britain, France, and the Dutch Republic fought for the riches of the New World. These countries had independent ships attack the ships of enemy countries. In this way, European governments created a force of legal pirates called privateers. However, during brief periods of peace, these privateers had nothing to do. Most had no skills other than sailing and fighting. Some became pirates as it was their only way to make a living. Others enjoyed attacking rich merchants. Pirate captains had to please their men, so pirates got more freedom and bigger rewards than ordinary sailors. It's no wonder many preferred a pirate's life, even though they often share the same bloody fate as Blackbeard.
Vocabulary Review.
Situation. Nancy was put into a difficult situation when her car ran out of gas on a busy highway. Colony. India was a colony of Britain until it became a free country in 1947. Brief. Jack made a brief stop at the coffee shop as he rushed to work. Prefer. I like coffee, but I prefer tea, so I choose tea most of the time. Bloody. The hike into the woods turned bloody when the boys were attacked by 2 bears. Fate. As the thief entered the court, he knew that the judge would decide his fate.
智慧小补帖
Plunder. Merchant. Reward.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作。活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net